they had to write. Again, the writing here is set up so that they're set up for IEP test. And it says themes, it says differences and similarities, and it says frases con las expresiones at the very top. It says the expressions. Well, she's referring to a list of expressions that we give our students, starting in the 10th grade, that they are to use constantly. So in Spanish, for example, we have o sea. That is to say, o sea. So by the time our students are IEP, o sea becomes a very common thing that they're going to say. They're going to say things like, al fin y al cabo, at the end of it all, for my conclusion. And they're starting doing that in 10th grade, so by 11th grade it's not a big deal. Así que, so that continuation of the explanation. Again, they're using this constantly. So what she says with the expressions is like, we want to see the expressions. It's a list of maybe 100 of them. So each student has chosen the ones they're really comfortable with and we hear them a lot. But we have French as well. And this is a lesson that there's some answers together. And this one is in the science and technology theme of the AP themes. And she begins her lesson with a different type of engagement. Again, these are all different. They may have done the same lessons in all different languages. These are just examples, of course. She begins with personal experiences with science and technology. Well, I kind of did that too, right? You have your phone, you've got your technology, carrying it around with you. Then she talked about technology in students' lives. Of course, all this conversation is happening in French. The conversation has the positives, the negatives. She's going to show a video to engage the students. And the reading is an AP theme, and we're going to get to a reading, of course, and she's going to use 3 authentic sources. It's a different approach that she's using. In this approach, she's using 3 articles that she has chosen herself. Whereas Mrs. Muller had the students choose articles, this time the teacher chose the articles. And of course, every teacher will do this at one point or another. Each student receives one of the 3 to read and prepare at home. So the class basically is divided into thirds. And every third student has a different article. The class is going to come together, and they're going to be grouped in 3s, with all 3 students having the same article. So together they decide what is this important topic here, what is the theme, what are the vocabulary words that we're going to need to use, how are we going to discuss this. They get together and they become experts on that article. After that, they divide, and every group now has one expert from a different article. And each expert presents to the other 2 students what his or her article was. All this is happening in the target language. Vocabulary is happening, listening comprehension is happening, and reading, of course, is at the essence of it all. The activities are very clearly delineated for students. We don't let students just try to figure it out. We give them an outline. We make sure that everything is clear for them and the learning outcomes are clear. We need to make sure that they know what they are expected to find out at the end of it. Otherwise, students might think this is just busy work. When students think it's busy work, nothing's happening. She did have quite an engaging video. It's called Dance. It's a short film, and this is the person who produced this film, created this film. And I'm going to attempt to show you a little bit of it. I'm hoping that that's going to work, but we'll see. Maybe not.
I think you can just hit OK.
Just hit OK?
I think so.
Okay. Flash is out of date. Not happening, huh? It's okay, because you know the film is kind of disturbing. Now we've got motivation going on. Motivation for you to go find it and watch it.
Everybody's gonna watch it.
It's a little disturbing, but you know what she did, which I thought was amazing with it, is I'm lost. Did somebody get my PowerPoint back? Get my PowerPoint back. What she did with this film, which was I thought fantastic, is she didn't show the students the end right away. She had them infer what's going to happen based on the situation. And the ending is actually pretty bad. But I'll tell you a little synopsis while I get my PowerPoint back.
First we make a video.
I get my video?
We might get your video. We don't know. We'll see.
No. The video is half an hour. We don't want to watch it. You're going to watch it on your own. But it's about a man who writes. He's a writer. He uses a typewriter. He meets this wonderful woman. They fall in love, and she buys him a computer. Can we infer what happens from there? He becomes addicted to the computer. Yes. And the relationship kind of goes downhill after that. There's even a scene where he's in bed and the laptop, the computer's next to him. Very fun. Mrs. Ransford at that point really did have the kids engaged, and they wanted to talk about what technology has done to their own lives. And I think students actually may have acknowledged what video games have done to them. All right, thank you so much. So, they discussed the video. They were given questions in advance of doing this. There were different things that she wanted them to get out of this. And there were discussion points. I have to say that I actually typed this, and I am not a French person, so I messed up the accents. And that was not correct. That was me. All right. Spanish. But in any case, any grammar errors you see in languages other than Spanish? All right. These questions really got to the heart of the matter about kids talking and thinking. And that's important because now we want them to read. And she gave them 3 articles, 3 authentic articles. And these articles were at a high level. We're talking about Lexile levels at a very high Lexile level. And students were able to engage with this. Were they able to read every word? No. Were they able to get every single... No, they couldn't do that. That's okay. They can't talk English. It's okay. They're able to reach out to the world and know what's going on out there in a different language, a language that they're becoming more and more comfortable with. So this was our French. Students had questions that they read on their own, that did on their own for homework. They did vocabulary, a scan of vocabulary. The teacher helped them with that. They had content, they had a main idea, and had supporting examples. She asked about the tone of the article. Was it inspiring? Was it encouraging? She had a very clear outline of what they needed to do for this. They wanted to know who the audience was. For this article, who is the audience that's really going to be most engaged with it? Who would most benefit from the article? She had the students in libraries share, she had to divide the students, and then each student presented to the group. And so this was a unit of study based on reading comprehension and then other things added in to make that engaging and make it what a foreign language classroom really needs to be. We have listening, we have speaking, we have reading, we have writing. In our Italian example, Ms. McNair had engaged the students first with a short video clip. The short video clip, she only had to say the word once, and the kids were like, really? Let's talk, let's do this. Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, but apparently it's a big thing. So first she went there. Okay, maybe not. And she showed them this, it was a little cartoon that talked all about how to deal with Facebook and what Facebook will do for you in finding a job and your career and your life and so on. All right, I'm back to finding my dog. I am not a digital native, can you tell? It says that up front. He worked at my house.
Let me see if I can sign it as mine.
I would love for you to see just a little clip of this YouTube video. It's all in Italian. It's a native Italian. It's not Italian for our students who are learning. It's an Italian for Italian people. And that is what we want our kids to see, right? We want our kids to see the reality of the language, how it interacts with the people who speak this language. Now, if we don't get to see my videos today, it's okay. It just motivates you to go home and find them. All right, if they can't do it.
In the previous slide, you said vocabulary scan. What do you mean by scan?
Well,
Scan.
we could take an article and tear it apart and make, 100 vocabulary words out of that. That's not usually conducive to what we want from students. We want to do a scan for vocabulary words that are essential to get meaning across. So it's not necessarily,
How do you differentiate? I'm not going to give you, how would they do that? How would they know?
well, it depends on your level. At the higher level, students have had enough experience to be able to say, okay, I'm really not going to get this if I don't get that word. So it depends on the experience. Sometimes the teacher guides it. So I'll have an example later on where the teacher is guiding that vocabulary.
Dictionary.
I'm sorry, I'm a little deaf and I'm having a hard time hearing
They
you.
use their dictionary while they're scanning the
A lot of times I don't have them do that. Some teachers do, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. A lot of times I just have them write a list. And then with that list, students will compare. And maybe in their group, and somebody else knows what that is. So I let them do some self-discovery first before we go to the resources. Not that the resources are a bad thing. Did I answer your question? Thank you. Okay, so Ms. McNair would engage students with, here was with a Facebook clip. They watched the clip. Then she asked students to state facts, give information gathered from the video. She gave students time to discuss and find appropriate vocabulary to communicate. What appropriate vocabulary? Well, their AP Italian. And when you walk into that classroom, me not knowing any Italian, it is almost like the Madeline, what you gave us. I have to just kind of figure it out because it's all Italian all the time. And it's amazing, it's wonderful. She had them write out facts that they gathered from that video. And as they did that, she put them on the board. One of them was, usa una foto apropiata. I got that one, I understood that. That's why I used it here. And they wrote that out, and they had basically bullets of what was the message in this video. Then they moved on to a round robin activity. She had the class set up with poster boards. The class was divided into groups, and they each went to the poster boards. And in each poster board, there was a short reading and a task to be completed based on this information. And the students spoke about the information, discussed the topic, and then moved on to the next activity. So the class moved around from activity to activity. They, at that point, were ready for the reading. Now they've had all this communication going on, they've got the vocabulary, they're engaged with the topic, then they moved on to the reading. And this is what the reading looked like. Again, it's authentic. At the higher levels, we're leading kids towards authenticity. And the students were ready to discuss this. They would have questions that followed up, they would have further discussion, they might have summaries to write. There were many different things that could be done with this. I was told to keep it to half an hour, so I didn't go into that, but there was a lot more to this lesson. Now, I wanted to show one of the things that we have also done. We deal with what's happening in the world today. This was a pre-AP lesson, and this lesson deals with what's happening in Venezuela. It was the 11th grade class that talked about this, and we didn't go right into a video. First we talked about, what do you know? What have you watched in the news? Nothing was the answer. Nothing was the answer. And of course that led us into a later discussion as to why. But we'll put that to the side. So before we began this, we did pull out some vocabulary that was essential to understanding this topic. We did go to the computer lab and have kids look up information as to what's happening. This was the pre-AP level, English, Spanish, it didn't matter. Get knowledge as to what's happening in this area of the world. Came back into the classroom, we pulled out some vocabulary, and we discussed we began with one facet of it, because this is monumental. what's happening there is, so, this can go on for a year of us discussing this. So we pulled out